Hello, everyone. It's finally spring-ish in Europe, so weather is nice. Sun's out, guns out. Let's bring on the questions. It's another Wednesday, I think. Let's go.
Hi, everyone. First of all, I would love to talk to you today about muscles working together. And then I would like to extend that question and get the whole side of the equipment in there.
Mhm.
So, yeah, first of all, muscles working together.
Okay, so I get this question a lot. Not only at the mobility workshop, but also on the workshop we did with gym owners and coaches, is because I talk a lot about muscles working together, and everybody knows that somewhat that yes, you can do isolation work, you can do biceps curls, but you can't do biceps curls without, I don't know, using your forearm muscles. Like that's not possible, right? So in bodybuilding, isolation work is literally trying to eliminate as much as possible from other muscles doing the biceps curl, from its shoulder, forearm, etc. So isolating it, like putting your elbow on a pad and making sure like 95% of the work is being done by a biceps. But this is the human body, so that means there's no isolation work. There's no way you can isolate a biceps, a triceps, a lat, or whatever. It's a ratio. You can do more in that direction or less in that direction. Um, so what about muscle chains? Um, so I describe it in the book. I've created like 4 or 5 maps in the book based on what nature gives me, not on my fucking 2 cents, but what nature gives me. That means there's certain paths and certain lines in your body. It's called myotomes. You have to remember it, which means starting from your spine. So nerve roots from your spine go through your body. Very simply speaking, and that also means there's certain muscles along those lines being quote unquote attached or connected with each other. This is not a physical connection. That means no, your biceps and your triceps are not physically linked together, or your biceps or your forearm, but there's other stuff like fascia and nerves. So see it more as a unit that works as one rather than single pieces of biceps and triceps. So the whole point about muscle chains is actually really simple. Um, the big question is, where do we start activating them? And we're always starting with our 3 big muscles, which are the lats, the obliques, and the glutes, so to speak, because that's where everything starts. So, for example, if we take the glutes, you need the glutes to get the hamstrings going. You need the hamstrings to get the quads going. You need the quads, blah, blah, blah. So it's more of a top-down approach. Vice versa, if your glutes are not working, you're screwed. That means if your glutes cannot hold your hips in a neutral position while whatever, deadlifting, squatting, running, it will diminish the rest of the muscle chain. It will diminish the workload and the capacity to work for the rest of the muscle chain. That's all it is. That doesn't mean the hamstring's not working. It means it's working at less potential to work. Same with the lats. If your lats are not working, this means your pecs cannot work properly, your biceps cannot work properly, and some other stuff needs to take over, right? So there's way too many muscles in the muscle chains in my book, but we're focusing on two: lats for the upper body and glutes for the lower body. Get those dialed in, and a lot of good stuff will happen. Um, we talked about already about hands and feet. So those are the starting points. Those are the starting points for muscle chains. There's certain areas in your hand when you apply pressure, but not like push here, my biceps will grow. No, this is not how this works. You have to carry something, for example, with farmer's carry, like super heavy. Activate, where's the camera? Activate this. This activates the forearm. This gets your biceps going. This gets your lat going. This is not manual therapy. This is a push here, and some muscles are gonna grow. There's a path, and the hands and feet are an access tool to them. An access tool. This is not the solution. Walking barefoot is great. Doing more stuff with your hands is great, but this is only the start. You have to combine the, most people would say, proprioception stuff with actual strength work and not misuse it and abuse it to do something else with it. So that's the whole point about muscle chains. So the end of the story is there's one muscle chain you need to work on first, which is, I call the book muscle chain number 3, which is the lats, the obliques, and the glutes. And that's it. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to take care of for the first 3 to 5 years of your training, depending on your goals. That's all you need to take care of. So that's the muscle chain part. And the next step in the book is, and the last step, to be honest, in the book is, okay, very simply speaking, which equipment allows me to use those muscles in muscle chain 3 faster? That's the only thing that I judge equipment with, right? I have personal preferences as everybody else out there. I don't like the Sempex front squat more than a barbell front squat. Oh, hell no. I like the results of the Sempex front squat because it forces me through the natural in between your hands, the natural squeezing, the natural buildup of tension. It forces you to use muscles that the barbell won't. That doesn't make it better or worse. It's just a better tool to start. So the whole point about the equipment hierarchy in the book is, okay, with which equipment can we get the fastest results for normal people when they start training? That's all I care about. And the barbell is not in there. The barbell comes at a certain point when you know how to build tension, etc. But this is not technical work. Building tension, learning how to build tension is not push your knees out or get your chest up. This is not learning tension. Learning tension is action. Learning tension is, okay, do 10 Sempex front squats, and trust me, your barbell front squat and your front rack position will feel way better, right? We talked about this before. Mobility and strength is the same thing, and that's exactly how it is. If you don't believe me, try it. Squeeze something heavy-ish, like a third of your body weight in between your hands and do 10 front squats with it. And then go to your barbell and do Sempex front squats and see how your front rack feels like, see how your position looks like, and let me know how it feels. So that's the only point about equipment. It's not about emotions. It's not about personal preferences. It's not about the barbell's great or the barbell's shitty. I couldn't care less. The only point is, how can I produce the biggest stress, positive stress for you in your body, so you have actually the capacity to learn something. I end the book. It's a lot about behavioral changes in the book, which I never say out loud, but it actually is. And behavioral changes have 3 components, which is, all right, man, you got to take action. Grab a Sempex, for example. You have to have some knowledge. You have to know why you have to do a Sempex squat first, because of tension towards the inside, because of the natural thing in between your hands, because of chain 3, because of the big muscle that gets activated. The third component of a behavioral change is a reward. And that's super important. We all know this because we feel kind of happy when we eat ice cream, not so happy afterwards, but right in between is like the best thing that can happen for us. The next day when we look in the mirror is like, I should have skipped the ice cream yesterday, right? So the positive reward is extremely, extremely important. We need action, we need some knowledge, and we need a positive reward. And this is what the Sempex gives you one-on-one. If your lower back hurts, and you take action, do a Sempex front squat, and you know which muscles are going to work, and you get the reward of doing squats without lower back pain, the behavioral change is complete, right? And you have elicited a stress response to your body, which gives you a chance to experience the most important thing in training, which is progress. Because otherwise, training is really boring. Long answer, but it was 2 questions.
I have a question to kind of like the beginning of your answer. What would you tell someone who then kind of like brings in the argument of like bodybuilders and the way they work and their hyper fixation on certain muscles? And if someone is just like simply, okay, bodybuilder obviously know what they are doing, why or how can you say what you're saying, knowing that?
Okay, so first of all, I adore bodybuilders, right? Forget about the juicing and competition and stage and all that stuff. Because I adore humans that show incredible effort, and that's what bodybuilders are doing. They know everything. Like good bodybuilders know everything about every single fucking muscle in your body,
Mhm.
and that's something that I fully admire. Right? Forget all the chicken and rice. Forget all the weird stuff about bodybuilding. Nobody likes that. But that is really admirable. The point is not, or my point is not questioning if a bodybuilding method is working for growing muscles. There's zero question about it. Like zero. Do a bodybuilding thing and your muscle will grow. I totally 100% that's absolutely true. My point is there a different way to do this without the downsides of the bodybuilding exercises, which I'll get to in a moment? For normal people, we're not, let's say, super prone to joining a global gym and working out on machines all the time. Because there's a unspoken downside of bodybuilding, which is as soon as you start focusing on yourself a lot, that means 2 to 3 hours a day in your training, say there's challenges with social capacities and all that kind of stuff, which is fine if that is your sport. But most people don't want to do bodybuilding. So that means if you want to grow your biceps, do row pulls. And this is not about biceps or not. This is about, I hate this word so much, functional fitness, functional strength. So this is not about your biceps. This is about, okay, can you pull something? I don't know, do a pull up or something that you need in your regular life and use your biceps and then the lats afterwards. Right? That is my whole point, and that's what we want to teach. So take the principle of bodybuilding and their knowledge, and we're going to apply it in strength training that's going to benefit normal people for the normal life.
Okay. And my second question was more on the equipment side. How do I know that I'm ready to progress from doing, for instance, only sandbag squats to the barbell?
That's actually a very good question. So there's no line. There's no definite line. Of course not. Can't be because this is training, but this is about your body. In the book, we have certain rules. That means we have certain benchmarks. I call it contract and twist. That means we have established certain benchmarks with equipment that we're going to start with. That means stuff that you can hold in between your hands and or you can grip neutrally. Like those are the factors to get chain three going the fastest. All right. So we have a couple of exercises and benchmarks behind it. That doesn't mean you have to tick all the boxes from those benchmarks until you're allowed to use a barbell. I think that's complete bullshit. Um, those benchmarks are meant for, okay, if you hit those benchmarks, I can guarantee you don't have any hip pain, lower back pain, or shoulder pain. Because if you can hit those numbers with the sandbag, with the Chinese rows, with the pull-ups, etc., there's no way your big muscles cannot work, right? You can sprinkle in the barbell whenever you want, right? This is again, I'm presenting an invitation to a game. This is, and I have strict rules about my game, but you can play around and be like, okay, for whatever reason, I love to use the barbell. I need the barbell. This is my lifetime goal. Whatever. I'm totally fine with this. Like you can train with the barbell once a week. Also, my point is just training with the barbell will create some issues. So we can go back and forth. I use the barbell, of course, like once or twice a week in my own training, right? This is not a problem. This is okay if you build the base with the stuff that we talked about, getting the big muscles in first, get your positions in, understand what you're doing, etc., etc. Grab stuff in between your hands, and then you can do your barbell stuff whenever you want. Just doing barbell stuff will create imbalances in your body, the same as pure sandbag training will create imbalances in your body too. Should we elaborate on that a little bit? I think that it's worth taking the time. It just takes a minute. So as stupid or as non-optimal as only training with the barbell is only training with the sandbag. For
Mhm.
example, the sandbag is the worst tool for pulling stuff, for pulling exercises, for training to get your shoulder blades together and keeping them down to get the lat dorsi going, right? Because you can do bent over rows with the sandbag. That's fine. But the sandbag is going to bring you to a natural position, which is new to shoulder blades or shoulder blades moving forward. But the sandbag has a limitation because it's really kind of thick, right?
Mhm.
And you cannot pull it all the way into your chest. So your shoulder blades can never come together. That means your lat dorsal can never fully activate and never can get fully trained. So this is going to create imbalances too. It's a great tool for squatting, hinging, pushing, all that kind of stuff. It's the worst for pulling.
But would you
The
then,
barbell is, go ahead.
I'm sorry, would you from a very practical standpoint then, for instance, recommend to do like, for instance, floor presses with a Swiss bar as a superset with sandbag presses to kind of like get best of both worlds?
Say it again. What was the superset?
To have like a floor presses with a safety bar, for instance. Oh, not a safety bar, a Swiss bar. And then do like floor presses with a sandbag as well.
You can, but that's both are pushing. So we talked about pulling right now. What you can do is what I love. Um, you can start pulling with whatever ring rolls and practice your shoulder blades. You can move on to pull ups on your tippy toes, going up and down. You can do lat pull downs on a machine. You can start using neutral bars that we talked about, neutral grip and stuff in between your hands, like a Swiss bar, for example. Do bent over rows with a Swiss bar. You can absolutely do like Yates rows or supinated rows with the barbell if you know what you're doing. Like that stuff makes way more sense for pulling
Mhm.
than doing it with a sandbag. And that's the stuff you see if you watch videos from people who are only training with like whatever you want to call it, odd objects or sandbags, and they're never using barbells for pulling. They get like a huge upper back. They look like the hunchback, which is what you get when you don't get your shoulder blades together. And the barbell for pulling is a better tool for doing that rather than doing the sandbag.
Okay.
All right, guys. Bring on the questions. We'll talking about it. As always, you can write your questions on the stories. You can write questions directly to me. My email and my Instagram is everywhere out. That's at Greg or Greg's. Looking forward to your questions and see you guys next week.